So I hear it all the time. Let's take a look at how predictive modeling actually works. All right, so what we're trying to do, I think, as much as anything, is that we're trying to predict the future by analyzing the past, right? And how do we do that? Well, we're going to look at some historical sales data, things like time frame and geography and market. We're going to analyze all the homes that sold and also all the ones that did not sell. That's really important. I think that gets left out a lot. But we're going to choose a time frame. Let's choose like a year. We're going to grab a geography. I'll choose King County. It's close to home. We'll look at all the places that sold and all the places that didn't sell. And we're going to pull all that information and we're going to analyze it. So where do we get all that? Well, like I said, we have to go backwards in time, right? We're going to go back 1 year. And if you asked for that, you'd find that it's difficult to get. So how do we do it? Do we hop in our DeLorean? Real estate? No. Sorry, I can help throw the DeLorean slide in there. So no, we can't do that. What we need to do is we need to have a database that has all of that information in it. We need about, 80 million single-family homes, roughly about 400 million recording events. We're going to end up with about 300 million individuals information and some other juicy stuff as well. So if you have that database, as well as a magical, incredible team of just solid, brilliant people to run it for you, you can ask really good questions, and you ask, and of course you receive, right? So we get all of that stuff we asked for back 1 year in our geography. We have everything that sold and everything that didn't sell. And so what do we really have with that? Well, initially, we have tax data, right? So we have things like your built value, square footage, condition, all of those kind of things for all the properties that sold, of course. And we have the recorder's information as well, which is things like the sales history and the mortgage history, deed types, chains of title, prior flips, all of that kind of thing, right? That's what we end up with. Now, we have that for every home. So we got our tax, we have our recorders, we have our history, but what's missing? Well, it's the sellers, right? It's all about the seller because houses don't get motivated. People do. So we need to take a look at the sellers and really break them into a couple categories, right? We need ones that are going to make good sellers for investors, and we need to rule out the people that are not. Because let's face it, there are people out there that are just not going to sell to an investor ever, period. So we just need to make sure that we're excluding those people first and foremost. That's really key. So where do we get the seller data, right? Well, let's think about what it is first, right? Let's say that we want to know about the seller because that's the critical piece, right? We want to know things like their age, their income, the lifestyle they might live, financially, how are they doing, what do they drive, how much they spend, how much they make, that kind of stuff. Maybe they're married. We want to know what kind of stuff they spend money on, what they watch, what they listen to. Do they buy tall cans at the store or do they buy organic apples? That's kind of my go-to, but I think it's really pretty accurate. And we'll probably want, maybe 400 or 500 other data points on them. So once we have that, we're going to want to know something else too. And we're going to need to know about the buyers. So why do we need to know about the buyers? Like all these properties that sold, why do we need to know who the buyers are? Well, we'll want to know whether it was a conventional sale. Was it a conventional person that bought it? Was it an investor that bought it? If so, what type? What is that investor's volume? What is their market share? What's their history? We want to handicap them. We want to be able to dig through. So now that we know that we need the seller and the buyer information as two, we go back to our magical database, we pump that stuff through, and we end up with what we call a fully enriched set. And that is, we have all the properties in our area, everything that's sold, everything in the entire region, every house there. We want to know about the tax, recorder, sellers, buyers, all that kind of thing. So now that we have our fully enriched set, you can see that some of these are green and some are orange, and that's maybe a little bit strange. So what does that really mean? Well, let's say that the ones that are orange were labeled as investor deals, right? Those are what we're going to call our targets. Now, knowing this, having all that historical information and seeing what actually happened in the past is a lot like knowing what questions are going to be asked on a test. If you're going to go and take a test and your professor gives the same exam on a pretty regular basis and you have all the answers or all the questions in advance, makes the test pretty easy if, that's the thing you're going to do. It's a lot like having a cheat sheet for this test. So how does that actually work? Well, we take our cheat sheet, we take our historical, and what we do is we build models. So we take our enriched set and we pass it through our algorithm, and we say, okay, how much did that actually predict? And maybe we pass it through one and it predicts 50%. So we say, oh, 50 is, not that great. I need to do better. So we try another one. And maybe this time we get 50. We get a different couple houses that maybe we missed last time, but we still only getting about half. So we try again, over and over. Maybe this time we get 75%. We try it again. Maybe this time we get all of them. This goes on and on until we end up with something that's totally optimized so that we know that we're getting the absolute best result that we can. We're predicting the most targets, the most deals possible. So now that we have that, we choose this and say, okay, this seems to be our winner here. So we're going to go with this. Now, we take all of the properties, the entire region. We're going to say King County, but we're going to take everything that exists, and we're going to pass it through our algorithm. We're going to test it out. And what we get back is a list of scored properties, right? What does that mean? It means that we have given every single property in the entire area a score. Now, once you have this, you're leveraging a completely statistically optimized set based in reality, by the way. This has been tested. We've gone back and we've tested to see how it actually does. So now you're ending up with, I'd call it a list, but it's a statistically optimized set. That's exactly what it is. So now we have our targeted scoring and we say, okay, everything has a score now. Now we need to trim it down. So we take it and we look at it and say, okay, we're going to throw these in here from highest to lowest ROI, and we're going to notice something that the high ROI stuff is actually a very, very small percentage of the total population. This is obvious to investors, but I think that it's important to say, look at this is a tiny little fraction there. Pareto, right? At work. So what do? We take that and we split it. We break out the high ROI stuff and we throw away the waste so that we can reallocate that spend somewhere else, maybe on going back to the people that are the highest ROI. That's how that works. So now we have that, it bumps it out, and it gives us optimized targets. Now, when I say optimized targets, I think people tend to think maybe it's a mail list, it's a phone list, it's a pay-per-click. It's none of those things. It's the best targets. I heard a very famous copywriter one time say that 70% of your success is going to come from your list, 20% from your offer, and 10% from your copy, right? It's about the targets. So you can use it for mail, you can use it for phones, you can use it for Facebook, you can use it for pay-per-click. It doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, if you think of it as a wheel, the targeting is the hub of that wheel. It's the core, it's the most important thing. But from that, you can do your mail, you can do your phone, Facebook, pay-per-click, whatever. Those are all spokes, but the hub of the wheel is the targeting. And that's exactly what predictive modeling does for us.